to build a high-performing team. So come with me, because I've actually got the whole setup going inside where we have been running iLab. And everything around high-performing team is not actually just about the people. It's actually about your rhythm, as you're about to see. All right, so we'll find a little spot here. We've all been working through the day. Shane's videoing. This is not me with a very, very long arm today. That would be a bit weird. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you, first of all, a quote. Right? This quote here is from Buckminster Fuller. He says that wealth is controlled time. So what he really means by that is that a lot of us think that wealth or success is somewhere out there, without realizing it's right where we are. It just has a pace to it. There's this great saying, this Zen saying, which is, in nature, nothing is rushed, but all is accomplished. Right? It's like everything's got its own pace. So if, for example, you think about driving a car, well, if you've got a certain pace, which is the right one for the engine, it's not going to stall, which is what happens when it's going too slow. It's also not going to burn out, which is when it's going too fast. And on each gear, when it's time to change gear, you change with it as well. You're also going to find that this whole kind of like sweet spot here, which is where wealth is, that's the same thing with your team. If you're going to build a high-performing team, just like the difference of a player at yellow level and a high-performing team is about the rhythm. It's everyone playing. That's why you have drums in a band. Everyone's following the same rhythm as well. Most of the time, your rhythm, if you're really good at getting a business started, is not the same as the rhythm of your team, which is why it gets so difficult to get them to follow you. So the most important thing is to stop being the lead guitarist, the lead singer, and step back and be the drummer. If you really want to build a high-performing team, and if you're at that point in your business where you're thinking, I've got to get others involved in this thing as well, it's all about rhythm. So this here, don't go too slow, don't go too fast. It's like watering a plant. You end up watering a plant and you're watering it too much, too fast, it dies, right? So this is basically death or poverty. All your money runs out. You go too slowly, which is when like you're going to then stall the engine, same thing happens. Like if you're going to water a plant and you don't water it enough, it dies. So there's going to be, nature always is going to go at a certain rhythm, and your business has a rhythm as well. Okay, so let me show you what that rhythm is, because it's not just about one rhythm. It's about 5 rhythms. If we look over here, we've actually got here the 5 energies, or what we call frequencies, and they're called frequencies because something that's got a frequency has got a rhythm to it. And each of these 5, from the question why, to the question what, to the question who, to the question when, to the question how, also has a different frequency in your team and in your business as well. And you're about to see why, if you're actually trying to run a business and you're blaming your team for it not working well, you're about to see exactly why this is. It's because if you actually break it up into these 5, and we have a little process we use that when you go into GeniusU and you work alongside some of the things that we're sharing on there, and if you get the Millionaire Master Plan book, which actually goes through this really key second step of green level, which is refine your rhythm, the whole focus at it is actually knowing that these 5 you have to follow as much as the rest of the team. That it all starts with the big why, which is like the water question. It's like, what's the mission of the business? And we have something that we create, which some companies call a mission, some call a purpose statement, but we call it an enterprise promise, and we have a certain process to follow for this, where an enterprise promise is what you're saying your company stands for. And all rhythms have 2 steps. They have one, which is renew, which is let's move the whole thing over, and review, which is everything still okay? And what we say always at this level here, which is like, why are we even doing what we're doing, right? The big why, it always is about saying, let's never renew that, right? So the renew is like never, whereas the review is once a year. So ask yourself this question. When in the year, this is like annual, right? When in the year do you get with your team and actually say, right, here is where we want to take our business, and are we on track right now with our purpose? So everyone's aligned to that. They're all reviewing it at the same time. With all our companies, we take a 1-year retreat off-site where we get together and we do that every year. And it could be that in your case, you haven't been doing that enough, or you've been changing what you're trying to do so often, which happens at yellow level, and that's great. But at this level up here, you need everyone to be able to be aligned where they know they're serving the same mission. If you do this at this level, then you can get on to the second thing. And the second thing is not a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. It's your operational 1-year plan. It's something we call a team charter. So this is your what. If you're at a point right now where you're thinking, why can't all my people do what I'm asking them to do? It's because you should be the one asking them to do it. You should be the one asking them what they want to do. So the what is when you've actually got, within your enterprise promise, something called a team charter, which is like a 1-year plan. And we have a process in which we do this that those of you who work on our mentoring and Entrepreneur Mastermind, you know how we do this on our Crystal Circle. This is about setting up a team charter where you now have got a renew once a year. So the annual here becomes a renew now. And you also have got a review, which is every 3 months. So now, because of the growth in our company, every 3 months we take all of our project leaders, all our company leaders, and we bring us together every 3 months for a couple of days to basically say, right, first of all, are we all on track right now with our enterprise promise? Are we looking at our team charter, and are we doing what we said we were going to do over this last 3 months? What do we need to do to change? See, one of the problems is sometimes we get people to join our team, and we never give them enough time to get going, just like planting a seed and thinking it's going to grow yesterday. Right? But if on the other hand you say, well, let's give you 3 months to work it out, and you're not in there interfering every day, but you're giving them a chance to say what they're going to do and then see if they can do it. And even if you're thinking they're not doing it the way I would do it, or they're not doing it, you know, in the way that I think is necessarily right, I might give them some feedback, but I'm not about to fire them or like ask them to leave straight away. They haven't had time to prove themselves yet. You set up that 3-month cycle, it's like the seasons. You're now working every 3 months to a new season. If you do that right, then the next step here, which is the who, this is about each of your people saying, what's my part in that team charter? This is what we call a personal compass, which is, you could call it a job description, but it's more than that. A personal compass is something that you don't write, or your HR department writes. It's something that your actual staff members and your team members, they write each of these down themselves, from the project leaders through to whoever's actually answering the phone. The personal compass is what they're saying they're taking ownership on themselves. And it always is something that allows the team charter to happen. It's always something that they renew every 3 months, because things do change. So now this is every 3 months, the quarterly. And they review it every month. Why is this important? Because again, if you show up saying, I've got this new idea, or why don't you go do this instead of this? You're disturbing everyone having the chance to actually grow at their pace. And it's a little bit like going up to someone who's playing the bass guitar halfway through and say, let's just change. And they're going, wait, I haven't finished the song yet. Right? So this is about making sure everyone is owning their success and celebrating their success as well. That then leads to this one here, which is the when. And when, question mark, is all about something we call our project maps. Because we have run promotions for everything. You know, there's a reason that all multinational companies, all of them, have quarterly reporting, right? Like you can't be on a stock market without giving quarterly reports. It's because every 3 months, all your investors and stakeholders want to see what is it you've actually achieved so far, and do you have a plan to get to what you said you were going to do. So this happens when you actually think about a project map, so that you've got 3 months to get something done. So now you've actually got a project map where you're reviewing it every month to say, are we on track with what each person said they were going to do? And at the same time, you're actually, oh, that's a renew, sorry. And then we've also got the review, which is weekly. Here's how I run my businesses. Every week, I'll have one meeting, which happens on a Wednesday for 1 hour with every project leader and company leader within all of our organizations, one meeting. That's run by our general manager, who's Sandra. We have all of our different project heads, and we also have got all of our different company heads on that one meeting, and I'll be listening in and knowing already what is everyone saying at that point they want to be doing, and also are we ahead or behind on their measures and their milestones. Right? And then I'll mentor if I need to give some extra advice or extra thoughts, but I won't be there just jumping in and saying, let's just do something totally different, because that's what ends up, it's a bit like planting a seed, the seed becomes a sapling, and then you pull up the sapling to see how it's growing. And what happens is that always uproots everything all the time. So if that then leads to this one here, which is the how, the final thing on the how is that we have got here something called our flight deck. And the flight deck is where we have, on the one hand, our renew, which is once a week. We say, what do we need to change? If we were behind 1 week, what are the new numbers for next week? And then the review, which is daily. Now, it's really real time. We can look at it any time, but all the data is already there, which means that I'm never waiting until the end of the month to find out how we're doing financially. I'm never checking out, like calling someone, you know, what are our stats on this? They're all showing up on our flight deck, and that's something which is online that we can all see, and it means I can travel anywhere around the world, and in that traveling, I'll still be able to actually get connected to what's happening on a daily basis. Our hearts beat at a different rhythm to our lungs breathing, which also has a different rhythm to every other process in our body as well. When you let everything go at its right rhythm, and you find every team member able to focus at what they need to focus at, plus give them the opportunity, if they see something they want to see change, they know they can bring that up at the quarterly meeting. If they think that we're off direction with the entire business, they know they can bring that up once a year when we actually have our retreat, then everyone can get on to do the things that they're meant to do. And really that's the power of refining your rhythm. The step 2, a green level. So I highly recommend that if you are not yet at that green level, you remember this video for when you get to that level where you're creating a high-performing team. If you are at this level and you're looking to build that high-performing team, start by saying, what's the rhythm that I'm putting in place that's allowing everyone to be able to achieve success at their level? And if you follow that process where you're the drummer and keeping the rhythm, you're going to be amazed at just how much more you can get out of everyone on your team and how much you can scale this from something which is doing $100,000 or $500,000 to $1 million to $100 million using exactly this same rhythm as well. Until the next episode, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll be catching up in a week's time. See you later.